Hey, guys, this is Rick. What's going down? Listen, I've been trying to get this up. People keep calling me and interfering. I'll see if I got it going on now. Boom, boom, boom. Happy fall equinox, you guys. Do you feel even? You feel even? Are you getting even? Is there a chance of it? That's what it is. We're over here on that side of the cross. Which say we'd be over here on. If this was the Earth right here, this big round ball, it would be north, east. It'd be on the easternmost. This is equal. Today, both nighttime and daytime are equal. Alright? It's pretty cool stuff. It's really all that is. They say so when Satan falls, it's actually when Jesus falls. It's when we fall. What happens is at this particular point in the Earth's world, it's the day that all the days are even is all. But they have been shortening ever since the summer solstice. All right. So what happens is that each day that goes on from this point on gets shorter and shorter and shorter until you get to the furthest most point on this is going to be the winter solstice, where God is killed and dead. The sun dies on the cross and the Crux constellation between Sagittarius and Capricorn, right in there, right that little spot right there, and it sits in there for 3 days. See, what happens is that every day on the horizon you would notice that the sun moves 1 degree in one direction. Then it'll get to that particular point in the sky, which in ours it would be the summer solstice. It seems like it sits still for 3 days before it comes back down and starts going the opposite direction. All right, and so these are the days of summer. And the summers, they just get shorter and shorter and shorter. And this is fall as things start to fall and go fall. All right, fall is red, so a lot of things about red are about the lower parts of us. And of course, in this situation, we're talking about end times. End times is the beginning of the new you. So the beginning of the new you is the end times. Okay? I'm just wanting to be dyslexic as hell with you just for a moment, because that's what we're talking about. This time of life and this time we have just come from Virgo, the Virgin. In the story, we're birthed as a child, and we're going to go through this equinox as we learn to become even. This is Libra. Libra is sunset. All right. Next thing you know, you're going through the backbiter, the one way to betray your flesh, because that's what this whole idea is about. This reads off in the sky above us as the stages of consciousness. And of course, it starts off being delivered when the sun is delivered out of Virgo. That's how that works, And so, beginning and ends. I am the beginning, I am the end. Now you understand what this means, okay? Because we've been talking about end times and debunking all these end time stories. And all these end time stories are talking about you going upstairs and cleaning house. And that's the end of the old you, the beginning of the new you. So what do you think the beginning of the new you would be? All right? Tick tock, ding, time's up. It's going to be the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Maybe told to us just a little bit different. That in the beginning, there was this dark void. And nothing was there. Stuff like that. The 6 days of creation, or the 7 days of creation, is really what the Islamic and Christian, Catholic, and Judaic, they believe in Adam and Eve, and they believe in this creation story of God made this first. Of course, we know that the whole idea is about the mind, and I'm going to prove that again with the series of creation stories around the world. And there are plenty of them. There are more than you can shake a stick at. And for you guys that have developed an ear for this, you should go on this little trip sometime with me, or on your own, But right now we're just going to talk about what we have here. So, to prove that this is what's going on, Jesus is crucified in a place called Golgotha, and that's called the place of the skull. All right, it tells you right off there. All right, Calvary is another word for cranium. This is just outside of Jerusalem. We're talking about the mind here. We're talking about their head. I'm telling you about this because it just so happens that one of the first stories that I want to read to you is about the Odin, the god Odin. This is a Norse god. He actually has two brothers, Vili and V, if we want to say it. There's just three of them, and and they are born into this world where there's just they look at it as there's a gasping or a gaping, like a gulf, and on one side of the gulf is fire, and on the other side is ice. And there's this guy named Ymir that lives in the middle of this. And of course, now what we're talking about is we're talking about something being divided by this Ymir. All right. Well, they were credited, Odin and them, his brothers. They were told to go and create something, and to create the world and fill it with life. But they're not gods. They can just do something out of nothing. So they did what they thought would be the only right thing to do. So they murdered Ymir and made the earth out of him. Okay, so, we're talking some pretty dark language here, all right? But don't give up, don't give up. What happens is that in Ymir's skin becomes the earth itself, the surface of the earth. His blood becomes the lakes, the rivers, the waters of the earth is his blood. His bones and his teeth, they become the mountains, all right, and the rocks, the stones, and his brain becomes the clouds, and his skull becomes heaven. If that's not all of the symbolism in our Bible, it's crazy. The idea is that, Jesus comes in the clouds. That's the third phase, what he's talking about. They're talking about this. The mountains, the idea that your bone to my bone, the idea is, this is the spiritual side. It's just absolutely wonderful writing, okay? Now, let's not go too crazy, all right? But there's this thing, you ever been heard of the nut? That's the nut, got anything going on in that nut up there? Well, it has its roots in Egyptians, all right? Because this is a wonderful story. The Egyptians have this going on. It says, in the beginning there was not only new, it just said, in you. It's a dark, swirling chaos. And out of these waters rose Atum, A-T-U-M. He created himself by just forcing himself out through his own thoughts and his own will. Alone, he was neither male or female. All right, alone, all right. But what he had was this one all-seeing eye that could roam the universe. He joined with his shadow to produce a son and a daughter, and they gave forth his son. He gave birth to his son by spitting him out, and he named him Shu. He made him the god of the air. Atum vomited up his daughter and named her Tifnut, the goddess of mist and moisture. Together they were given the task of separating the chaos into principles of law, order, and stability. It says stability. I know that word. The chaos was divided into dark and light and set into place. All right. This order was called Mat, which is M-A-A-T, which formed the principles of life for all times. Mat was a feather. It was light and pure. Shu and Tifnut produced Geb, the earth, and Nut, the sky. At first these two were tangled together as one. Shu, god of the air, pushed Nut up into heaven, where she would remain arched over Geb, her mate. They longed to be together, but in the name of Mat, they had to be apart to fulfill their functions. Nut produced rain for Geb, and Geb made things grow on earth. As the sky, she gave birth to the sun every night before dawn, and by the day it would follow its course over the earth and die at sunset. Shu and Tefnut produced other gods: Isis, Hathor, Osiris, Seth, Thoth, and Nephisis. The chaos was still vast. There was still no separation yet of this chaos. There was no Mat. And once Shu and Tefnut disappeared into the dark waters of Nu. Adam was so desperate to find his children, he set his all-seeing out to find them, and he searched heaven and earth for this. In time they returned with the eye. Adam was so happy, he wept for joy. And as his tears fell to earth, they became first men, maintaining that they had to maintain what? And God would love and take care of them for the rest of their lives. That's a wonderful little story. And there's your Kundalini, the sixth being Isis, the fifth being Hathor, Hathor, goddess of love and beauty. Osiris, god of wisdom and justice, that's your heart. Seth, goddess of evil, that's your stomach, our solar. That's the third chakra, is the third church. In our Bible, the third church is the seed of Satan. Okay, I've said that many times. And Thoth, the god of wisdom, that's give us our daily bread. And then we have Thoth, wisdom, bread, knowledge, thoughts. And then we have Nephisis or something like that. She's the protectress of the dead, and she is our root chakra. A wonderful story that embodies mostly what's going on with the tomorrow's prophecy regarding the 23rd as the possible date, as something terrible going on. It's not true, of course. We know that all the letters and the numbers and things are absolutely contrived. But it's the idea of the story, the creation story done up by the Greeks, okay? All right. Now, what happens is this is where Gaia gets her name from. That's where most of us get these things from. And it's a great little story. It starts off the same. All these, there was just chaos. There was this out of this void appeared someone named Ibris. And with all of this business, there was love showed up. Love became light and day. Somehow out of this darkness, love was born. And when light and day were created, once that was created, Gaia, the earth, appeared as the first creatures with the appearance of life. Ibris slept with the night, who gave birth together the heavenly light that we see, and today the earthly light. So then night alone produced doom, fate, death, sleep, dreams, nemesis, and other things that come to man out of the darkness. Meanwhile, Gaia alone gave birth to Uranus, the heavens. And Uranus became Gaia's mate, covering her on all sides. Together, they produced 3 Cyclops and three of something that I don't know. It's like, let's just call them Herculean cheens or something cherry. I couldn't tell you what it is. and the 12 titans. All right. Uranus winds up being a very bad husband and father. He hates these guys that I can't represent, these three things. They're like beings, monsters that have like 50 heads, you know, and 100 arms. These are the guys that do the fighting. And the Cyclops, he's just absolutely horrified by these guys. And so he hides them and tucks them into the cracks and crannies of the earth, which is trying to stuff them right back into Gaia's womb. And this pisses her off, something awful. And so she tries to get her children. I'm going to get after him. I'm after this. This is awful. I don't like the way he's treating y'all. This is terrible. And so she can get only the youngest one in the bunch. Remember, it's always the youngest. The younger serves the older all the time in these stories. And his name is Kronos. All right, we know Kronos is Saturn. All right. So she makes him up this great big sickle. She goes, whenever we're making love, whenever me and me and your father are making love, you come in and you just, go at him with it. So they planned this ambush and carried it out. And he castrated his father, and he tossed his nuts in the ocean. That's what happened. Well, all kinds of hell broke loose then, as this Uranus, as he is gone, as he is, Kronos. Let's see. Let me get this right. Those are genitals in the ocean. As Uranus departs, he promised that Kronos and the Titans would be punished. From his spilt blood came the giants, ash tree nymphs. These, I couldn't tell you the name of this here, and where the foam of where his businesses hit the water and the foam came up, the sea foam, came Aphrodite. All right. Kronos became the ruler for the next little bits of time. Kronos imprisoned the Cyclops, and he also imprisoned those monsters and the Tartars. He did the same thing. He was just equally as scared of them as his father was. And together, he married his sister. Remember, when you marry your sister, it's not your mother you're cleaving to. It was a wife. This is your sister. All these stories are like this. He was ruler of the Titans, and they had many offspring. He ruled for many ages. However, Gaia and Uranus prophesied that they would be overthrown one day by one of his own. To avoid this, Kronos swallowed each of his children as they were born. Rhea plotted to save her sixth child by giving him, by taking Zeus, her sixth child, off to be raised on her own, and fed him a stone instead. And of course, they got together with a bit of magic, were able to make this Odin, or not make Odin, but make this Kronos toss up all of the children. It was a particular mixture, something that they got him to drink, and of course they all were grown up now, and all of them got together to fight this guy off, and of course they win. So this is the idea of fighting off the devil, or fighting off Kronos. This whole story, these are all about this idea of regaining control over yourself by kicking the monster out, or in some way taming him, because their heads always grow back and everything comes back again, and it just winds up being crazy. So in the Egyptian story, we get Nut. They create this wonderful story in Shu and them, and Tefnut. All this, just wonderful stories. Here's one from the Inca. This is going to be a fun one. The Incan one. I can't really say all the names in this either, but it's the sun rose slowly above Lake Titicaca, and his name is like Pachacamac. So bright was he that you could see nothing else. But in the night was so dark and empty, there was nothing in it. So he made the moon and the stars and the planets. Pachamama which is the name that he gave towards the moon, became his wife, and together they ruled heaven, earth. First men were pitiful. They were made from stone out of the mountain, and they were pitiful. They didn't know what to do. They showed a drawing of them just sinking into the ocean. They didn't know anything of the world or how to even survive in it. So the sun and the moon bore a son and a daughter, and out of pity they sent their children to earth to help. The son of the sun taught men how to plow the fields and how to build houses, and the daughter of the moon approached women and taught them the art of weaving and how to prepare food. We will teach humans how to be kind and fair. I will provide light and warmth every day without fail, but make sure that they never forget their creators. So the son of the sun became the first Inca, and he and his sister wife ruled the first humans. And it came to pass that the Inca and his wife took a long journey, looking for a place for his people to settle. Every place they settled was a place. Every place they went, they took a golden rod of their father and placed it in the ground with which to build a city. And of course, whenever they got to when they came to the valley of Ahanakurai, the golden rod sank into the ground and disappeared. Inca decided that this is where he would build his first temple of the sun, and this is where he and his people would settle. The two split to gather their followers. Inca went to the north and his wife to the south, creating two cities. Following his wife, the followers of his wife in the south, Herlan Cusco is the southern city. And of course, Inca and his followers settled in the northern part of the valley, the Hanan Cusco city of the north. And this was, of course, to make sure that they honored both the energies of this Elohim, the being that they are both male and female energy. Again, this is talking about the mind. One more real fast one, if you wouldn't mind, me going through. The idea that that they went on their ways. One went one way and one went another. This is that they're being separated again, even in that their cities, they have one side and one another. One would be the north and one would be the south, and that's another way of reading the idea of east and west. It's just another direction, because when you cut your head off, you're cutting off what is ahead of your north, and and from what is below, what's above from what is below, and that's a north and south information. All right. Here's a really good one. The Zulu Nation. It goes really fast, you guys. Long ago, before man or beast roamed, there was just darkness and one very large seed. The seed sank into the earth, and from it long reeds began to grow. They were called Ololonga, which means the source of all things. Slowly, one reed grew into a man. It was Unkalukalulu, first man, and the creator of all things. Finally, when he was fully grown, he broke from the reed and fell to earth. And he walked up and down the earth, and he saw other growing reeds of men and women. He broke off the first men and women, medicine men, and their dreams. He pulled off cattle and fish, birds and fierce creatures. He created streams and mountains, lakes and valleys, wind and rain and sun and moon. He created everything we see around us today. Taught first man and woman how to hunt and make fire, how to make clothes and prepare corn. Gave all the animals their names, and when all of this was done, Analukaluku sent sent the languid chameleon out into the world with the message that his people would never die. Off goes the chameleon, slowly on his mission, slowly, ever so slowly. After several days, Analukalulu became impatient and sent a speedy lizard out into the world, which is a message that said death was on its way. The swift lizard quickly overtook the chameleon and arrived at the village first. Once the lizard brought the message to the first people, death arrived shortly thereafter. Ooh, did that raise the hairs on your arms? It should have. It should have raised it on mine. Did you understand that last one? He, to live ever after, death had to follow. So he sent this speedy little thing, got there first, and then death has been with us all the time. This has a couple of implications. Now, in the Adam and Eve story, the snake comes in and ruins it for paradise, and they had to live normal lives. Getting there first, telling them that death was soon upon them, and then he got there first. Second was the idea that they'll live forever, right? That was what the chameleon, that was taking its slow as time to get there, right? Because this wrath it's slow to wrath. You just have to understand how these things are written. When it finally made it, they all had to die. Do you understand? To be reborn, and then again to live forever. It's just the coolest shit, man. Alright? The idea that all these things are taking place, it's about your mind. Everything is about your mind. Not one thing is about these prophetic prophets and taking the word at its word instead of by its symbolic meanings, which is what we spend all our time on. So anyways, I wanted to spend this little bit of time with you to let you know that there is no end time until you're ready for it, you know? And there's no beginning until you've come to the end. Ain't that something? Anyways, we are the Alpha, Jesus, whoever, the Alpha and the Omega at the same time. Don't let religion scare you anymore. They're retarded little idiots. Oh, we're supposed to have compassion. We have compassion. Well, they want to follow. They want to belong. You know. They don't see that they can help and take care of themselves. They don't believe in themselves. They don't think they have the ability. They've had heaven taken from them. You know. And in our Bibles it says, don't let anyone take your crown. You know. And Lord, don't sell your crown. Don't give it away. You know. You understand what the crown is. You know, I'm wearing one. I'm not going to give away my crown now that I found it. Anyway. You guys, I love y'all. Best of day to you.